The Prince and the Pauper by Mark Twain. Tom Canty and Prince Edward are born in London on the same day. Tom, however, is unwanted, and Edward has been long awaited. While the prince lies robed in silk, Tom grows up in the fields of Offal Court. As a small child, Tom is forced by his father to beg during the day and is beaten by him at night. Gathering a ragtag core of street urchins around him, Tom often pretends that he is a prince. Father Andrew, a priest who lives in Tom's house, teaches Tom to read. One day, hoping to see Prince Edward of England, Tom visits the royal palace. But when he approaches too near, he is cuffed by a guard and ordered away. Edward, who has witnessed the incident, protects Tom and takes the young beggar into the palace. There, in the privacy of Edward's chamber, Tom confesses his longing to be a prince. When the two boys exchange garments, they discover that they are identical in appearance. Before they can switch clothes again, Edward is mistaken for the beggar boy and thrown out of the palace. He wanders helplessly in the streets, mocked by people whom he approaches with pleas that they pay homage to him as their rightful prince. In the palace, it is thought that the prince has gone mad because he can recall none of the royal matters that he is supposed to know. King Henry VIII issues an edict that no one should discuss the royal lapse of memory, and Edward's half-sister, Prince Elizabeth, later Queen Elizabeth I, his cousin Lady Jane Grey, and his weeping boy, Sir Humphrey Marlowe, hardly tried to aid the supposed prince, who by this time is too frightened to confess that he is Tom Canty, a beggar dressed in the prince's clothing. While he had been ill, King Henry VIII had given the great seal of the kingdom to Prince Edward for safekeeping. Henry now demands the return of his seal, but Tom reports that he doesn't know where it is. The Prince of Wales is still wandering the streets as a homeless wife when King Henry dies. Edward is found by John Canty, Tom's father, and brought to Offal Court, but during the wild celebration of the ascension to the throne of the Prince of Wales, Edward escapes from his supposed father, again tormented by crowds who laugh at his protest that he is the King of England. Edward is rescued by Miles Hindon, a disinherited knight and the son of a baronet. Thinking Edward is mad, Miles pities the little boy and pretends to pay him the homage due to a monarch.
Meanwhile, having had the role of King of England upon him, Tom is slowly learning to conduct himself royally. Because his attendants thought him mad, he is able to be honest about his lack of training and his failure to recall events that would have been familiar to Edward. At the same time, his gradual improvement offers hope that his derangement is only temporary. John Canty lures Edward from Miles' protection and takes the boy southward to join a pack of thieves. Still vainly declaring himself king, Edward again becomes the center of ridicule, but he escapes again. Miles and Edward set out for London, where they arrive on the day before the coronation of Tom Canty as King Edward VI. In regal splendor, enjoying the adulation of his subjects, but recognized for who he really is by his mother, Tom rides through the streets of London toward Westminster Abbey. There, Just as the crown is about to be set on his head, a voice rings out demanding that the ceremony cease. And the real king, clothed in rags, steps forth. As the guards move to seize the troublemaker, Tom recognizes Edward, orders them to halt. The Lord Protector cuts through the confusion by asking the revered king to locate the Great Seal that had been lost since King Henry's death. Edward, after an initial mistake, manages to remember where he had placed the seal before leaving Tom the day he was expelled from palace. Tom admits that he had innocently used the seal to crack nuts. Miles knows that his young friend had not been insane after all. Edward confirms Miles' title of Earl and strips Hugh of his titles and land. After Hugh dies, Miles marries Edith, who had refused to acknowledge Miles' identity because of Hugh's had threatened her to kill Miles. Made Edward's royal guard, Tom has Edward's promise that his family would be honored for the rest of their lives. Edward rights many of the wrongs he had encountered during his adventures.